Hey, what's going on, team? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions. We got Weston Moore here, the mentor within Flipping Wheels. If you guys are not familiar with who it is that he is, but the top stocks that you guys see value in. So we got Weston already bored here, but this is pretty much where we just come together as a team. It's not anything about the top stocks that I see value in by any means. It's really just where I get to engage with you guys, and I ask you to do your own due diligence first. But I think that we can both agree like that when it comes down to sharing ideas and getting other people's opinion, it makes it that much easier to understand the pros and cons and other people's points of view when it comes down to looking at maybe the same stock. So yeah, I hope that you guys are excited for this. But yeah, Ricardo, so just a quick little heads up. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. I'm using the TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim platform. If you're going to be asking what I use, I just want you to know that if you only post the ticker symbol, I will not break down the stock for you. Every stock that you ask me to break down has to be in the ticker callout format like you see David and like you see Darwin doing. If you do not first do your own due diligence and do that for yourself, then how do you expect anyone to take time out of their day to do a breakdown for you? So we got Ismail sharing the ticker callout format. If you can't dedicate a couple minutes to plan out your trade, then I'm not going to take a couple minutes to break it down for you. That simple. And again, it's not because I'm trying to be rude. It's because I want to make sure that, my opinion should not influence how you should trade, right? At the end of the day, it's just that, an opinion. And if you don't have your own opinion about a stock already, then mine's going to be a little bit, it's going to weigh a little bit more when it comes down to sharing it. So again, I'm just doing this, and I really hope that you understand that for your own benefit, because I want you to be self-sufficient and not someone to be told what to do. But at the very end of it, I really hope that I earn your thumbs up in this video. We're going to be going live for about 30 minutes. If you guys have not joined our free Facebook group, I believe it's the second link down below. It says free Facebook group. It's the TechBud Solutions group, and we almost have 223,000 members, making us the largest Facebook group for those who trade in the stock market. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to get Weston to help me out as well. I'm going to give my opinion, and even if you don't agree, like, this is what I want. Like, even if you see something else, then I want to make sure that you just explain what you see. Okay. And I think that you guys can benefit also from this, just so you guys can see that, well, Weston is like, I would say a complete beginner, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But just to get another person's point of view, and to maybe have him explain why he sees value in a certain way that might be a little bit different than me. So let's go ahead and get started. If you want me to break down your stock, then all I ask you to do is to post it in the ticker callout format. So here we go. We're going to start out with Richie. So Richie is calling out TRNX. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to put this on the 180-day analysis. So TRNX. All right. So very quickly, what would you say out of this one? What's your input? So first of all, one of the things that I noticed first is the dollar amount, right?
Right.
It's less than $1 per share.
I would say it's a penny stock overall, right?
Definitely. It would not be something that I would trade. Just because I don't trade something doesn't mean that you can't, or that you shouldn't, right? But another thing is that it's showing signs of a descending pattern. It's not showing signs of growth. So it looks like maybe this one popped up in your radar because of its recent just pickup of activity. So it might have popped up in a couple of scanners. It looks like it's really just being pumped and promoted. And you can tell that with looking at its average volume and how right now it does not have its average volume. You can see that the overall price action definitely looks overbought, overextended, and it looks like it's just bound to pull back and correct itself. At the very end of the day, to keep it super simple, if you want to grow your account, then you invest or trade patterns that are showing signs of growth. And quite frankly, with TRNX, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that I wouldn't trade it, and I just explained why. I also do want to let you know that it's going through a one-on-one reverse stock split, if I'm not mistaken. So also not the best news, but just something to take into consideration, and something that I just wanted to share. So that was TRNX, and that's the first one. Do you agree with that?
100%.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Cody Frazier. I appreciate you tuning in. So TTD. Here we go.
Okay. It's looking, it's consistent uptrend.
I like that, right?
The price too.
So while Weston is sharing his input, feel free to share your own opinion as well. But what I see here is the overall SMA line normally acts as a support, right? Mm-hmm. You can see on the 180-day chart, the SMA line, which is this green line, tends to act as a support. It doesn't mean that it has to, right? It's oversold, and based off of previous patterns, it's in that good buy price range.
Correct.
Or good deal price range, but is it a good buy? So if I were to ask you, in the 3 stages of a reversal, rejection, consolidation, and confirmation, what stage would TTD be in right now?
Well, it's not. I mean, there's not confirmation of an uptrend yet.
Correct. So is it still selling off? Is it consolidating, or is it confirming an uptrend?
It's definitely still selling off. That's not enough for a confirmation. I mean, it's not enough for a consolidation to me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, because I mean, usually when you see consolidation, it begins to like flatline and almost shows that horizontal pattern. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're still
3 days, 4 days.
Right now we're still getting that rejection of that EMA line. The EMA line is still pointing down. The SMA line is really starting to flatline. So I would say that this is almost at a critical point where we can set our alerts, wait to see if we actually get confirmation. I think that this one would be a
very good potential, maybe in 2 or 3 days, check up on it, or
just set your alert and see if it performs. Like what we're hoping happens, right, is that it sells off, it consolidates right around this general area, just like it did before, and then the direction begins to change. What do we mean by that? The price action begins to show signs of an uptrend, and it begins to trade above the EMA line and formulate this reversal, right? As of right now,
yeah, correct.
It's too early, right?
It's too early.
So I'm going to set my alert. I already set my alert for the break above it. I would say that so far, this has to be
it's
a good call out.
Yeah, it's a very good call.
So I would say
percentage?
Potential. Let's calculate that. So let's say I would like to keep it like, I really don't think that I would hold it all the way up to highs of 290.
Yeah.
So I would say that 270 would be a more conservative resistance that it's hit more times, more realistic.
Uh-huh.
And I would say, let's say our average purchase price is around this general area. So we wait for
we'll probably wait for that uptrend, first push.
Almost 6%.
That's good.
Even if it covers 3%, right? It's like setting a realistic goal, waiting for it to confirm that reversal and get that confirmation of an uptrend, and then waiting for it to make higher highs. And then at any indication of a resistance or when it's not so much of a good deal, so we approach a, kind of like high area, right? That we can lock in profits. I would say that this one would almost meet your criteria.
Right? Oh, I know. That's why I'm save that one, because I'm going to put it on my list too.
Don't worry, bro. You tuned into the Sunday Stock Talk, so you're good.
All right.
There we go. Let's see. Alrighty. Oh, we got Darwin here. Ticker symbol HLT. HLT. We got Darwin, the man, the myth, the legend. What do you think about this one?
Overall, it's been uptrending.
Yep.
It's got a different.
So it was showing signs of growth, right? So I like that.
In the last 30 days, it seems to have a different direction, in my opinion.
It's almost beginning to no longer make higher highs, right?
Correct.
So it was a consistent uptrend. The overall SMA line acted as a support, and now what we're seeing are these lower highs and these almost lower lows.
Yeah.
And we just recently broke above the SMA line. So I find the previous pattern to be attractive. I would need it to confirm and reverse back up and continue that pattern if I even want to take this into consideration to potentially trade it, right? Especially since the market has been so volatile and so inconsistent, I would be even that much more selective before getting in. So I appreciate the call out, Darwin. I just think that it's almost in the very early stages of potentially changing directions. And again, that's just my 2 cents, right? So here we go. Joshua, AUDC. Appreciate you tuning in, AUDC. Here we go. Alrighty. I think these are pretty good call-outs.
Yeah. I could see it seems to push quickly and sell off quickly. I don't know, from the patterns, does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's got these little mountains. But it's consistently going up. It's like stepping stones.
The volatility is definitely there, right?
Yeah.
So I would say that this one's kind of all over the place for me, that it would almost make it a little too inconsistent for me, right? So I would not necessarily feel comfortable like maybe swing trading it for too long, but we could see that, when it was at around almost $20, it was not a good deal. Look at the RSI and look at the MACD and look at even if you don't know how to read indicators, just focusing on the price itself. Are you getting it for a good deal? No, it was overextended, overbought, and now it's correcting itself, right? The MACD and the RSI are good indicators to use as a reference, but as you see, indicators are to be used as a reference, never to be a certain indicator that you use to when to buy and when to sell. So I would still say I'll try to be very patient for this thing to, it's been doing a very good job. It doesn't have to continue to do this, but it's been doing a very good job, holding up around the SMA line. So again, we're deal hunters, right? So we can set our alerts and we can wait for it to break close to or near to the SMA line, and then we wait for that overall reversal, and then again we allow the margin of profit to present itself. And in that point, even that's 17%, but that's like a glorified
10.
Even if it's 5 out of the 17%, it's you be selective with your entry and be selective with your exit, and you just did something that only 5% of the market can do, right? But it's about not being greedy, having a plan, and sticking to it. So I appreciate that call out. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. We got Xavier what is that? Campbell?
Yeah, Campbell. It's definitely Campbell.
Campbell, like Campbell the chicken noodle soup?
Chicken noodle soup.
Here we go. AAON.
Oh, is this? No, this isn't AAN, right?
No, this is not AAL, American Airlines.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one was showing signs of an uptrend. It broke its pattern. It looks like it offered a dip buy opportunity. Now it broke below. One of the things that I just want to share with you, right, is that the SMA line used to act as a support. It's a very common pattern where if it breaks below a previous support, it then becomes a resistance. So old support levels can become new resistance levels and vice versa. Old resistance levels can become new support levels. So as this thing is trying to push up, it might not even continue to push up above this. So in that case, this margin of profit is not worth the margin of potential loss, if that makes sense. I just think that, with these indicators, it's already telling us that it's pushed up quite a bit. This might be in the very early stage of a downward pattern, and it's just, for me, not worth it.
I don't typically like really aggressive quick push-ups.
Yeah, like those dip buys.
Like that. Like the last 2 days of this.
Yeah,
it's scary.
I would say that if I were to think of an ideal setup based off of what I've seen you trade, would be something like.
Oh, that first one was.
What was it? It was like.
It just makes me feel I'm comfortable.
There's more of a consistent pattern, right? And that's not to say, right? That's not to say that Campbell, right? That called out. What was it? AAO. Right? That's not to say that this thing can't push up, right? Yeah. There's different approaches on how we see value. Yeah. And if you don't see value in something, regardless of what anyone else says, then who cares, right? Yeah. But if you feel comfortable, like you said, right, when it comes down to trading stocks like that offer a little bit more of a consistent pattern, you wait for confirmation, and that just meets your criteria. That just means that's how you're wired, and someone else can be wired in a different way. So I like that. So Weston, I appreciate the transparency. I like it. What's this? I'll just so we can get this clear, Antonio, the reason your message keeps getting deleted, and for everyone that just keeps sharing the ticker symbol, is you're not posting it in the ticker call out format. I'm not going to break down your stock if you don't post it in the ticker call out format. If you don't take time to do your own due diligence, how do you expect anyone to go out of their way to do it for you, right? I think it's very simple. So let's keep it simple and just take time and post it in the ticker call out format, please. Here we go. Let's move on to the next one. Here we go. So we got Greg OSTK. Here we go.
Not feeling it.
Yeah. Why?
For me.
So why?
It's too inconsistent, and it's really just neutral as far as like overall in the last 180 days. It's really descending recently, but it's just there's no direction at all to me.
So the way that I'm thinking that you just said that is when you said that it's almost neutral, people might be like, what the heck, how's it neutral if it was up here, down here, and up here? It's because it almost offers this very long-term, almost horizontal pattern on the 180-day chart where it kind of stays within this range of overall low points and high points. So I can see that, and based off of it being at previous highs and how it descended all the way down to about $10 to $12, and right now it being on that potential descent, it can find a support potentially here at the SMA line, and we've seen that before where it can potentially bounce. But again, the market hasn't been doing too hot, right? And it makes sense on why this thing can, even based off previous patterns, can continue to descend potentially down to that $10 price point. And I get Weston's input on the inconsistency, the constant change of direction. A lot of people like horizontal patterns, and a lot of people like that volatility. So if this meets your criteria, great. One of the things that I would look out for is right now we're doing a lot of consolidation around the SMA line. The EMA line is pointing down. I would wait for higher highs to confirm to make sure that the price action follows and that it's actually showing signs of growth and that's not a false reversal. That's, I think, one of the worst feelings is when you wait for that confirmation, you get in, and then it actually gets rejected because the MACD and the RSI are already extended, overextended, right? How many of you guys have ever been put in that position where you wait so long for a confirmation to, take place, but then it still doesn't go according to plan? And that's why we say that risk management is like one of the most important things when it comes down to trading, especially day trading, when knowing when to, cut losses if, you hit your max loss, max percentage loss, or overall break of pattern. So again, just my input on that. And I'm going to set my alert not just for the break above 20, but also if it actually begins to make lower lows. And I want to get alerted if we actually break below $12, as I think that, for overstock.com, I think that they're doing very, based off my understanding. Yeah, overstock.com. Yeah. I've shopped there before. I think they're pretty unique, right? NYPD, appreciate you. Thank you. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So we got AMD. AMD is a very popular one, so I'm just going to break this one down to get it over with. So I appreciate you asking for me to break this one down. Here we go. So can you talk a little bit more about your display settings and which charts you have set up? I'm new to Thinkorswim. I actually have Clap Attacker. I actually have a video. If you search up TD Ameritrade TOS account, I think I have the #1 video on YouTube explaining my exact setup. And I don't really change it. So again, you can YouTube search it and it will pop up. So hope you, what's going on, Gino? Hope you can learn at least something from that video. It's a complete breakdown. So AMD. Before I get your input, I want the people that are tuning in, what do you guys think about AMD? It's 180-day pattern. Not only do I want to hear pros, but I want to hear some cons about it. So I think this is very important. Every single time, if you don't have a buddy, right, that you've made within Learn Plan Profit or TechBot Solutions that you can go back and forth with, I think it's always a great idea to get someone else's input. And that's all this Sunday Stock Talk is sharing opinions. And opinions are just to be heard. You don't necessarily have to think anything of it. So what's one thing that you find attractive and maybe not so attractive about AMD? So here we go. So it could be reaching a new resistance, okay? All right, fell below the SMA line, that's a con, right? Below the SMA line, that's a negative. A lot of margin of profit, that's a pro. At previous support, that's a pro for a potential reversal, right? Overall uptrend, I like that. That's a pro. It's always consistent. Careful with the always, but yes, it does offer a very consistent pattern. Let's see. Overall descending as of right now, I do agree. It's been descending, right, since it hit highs of 35, 55. One of the things that we have to take into consideration is that it literally just made highs on the 180-day chart, so the pullback is inevitable, right? That's bound to happen. Lito, my guy, how you doing? Wait for confirmation. I like that. So all of you guys brought great points. It's a 180-day, nice, consistent uptrend. I think that we can all agree on that. One of the things that it recently did is that it just hit highs of 35, pretty much 35.50. One of the things that I just want you guys to understand is that it did sell off. It did correct itself. It is below the SMA line. Normally, AMD does, right? Patterns tend to repeat themselves, but at the end of the day, they do not have to. Normally, it does a pretty good job reversing and continuing to uptrend and make higher highs. It doesn't have to continue to do this, especially with overall market conditions. So even be that much more selective. So I'm going to set my alert for the break above the SMA line. I think that this one would be something that you could potentially value.
Isn't this they're partnered with Apple, right? Or something?
Microchips? It's Advanced Micro Devices. They're partnered with Apple, and they just recently signed, I think it was around this time, that they signed a partnership with Samsung as well. So they're one of the leading...
So very good.
That chip itself within the cell phones. Yeah, it's a very reputable company. Yeah. Overall, it's in the very early stages. So if you were to say 3 stages of a reversal, right? 3 stages of a reversal, what would this be in? Rejection, consolidation, or confirmation? I would say that this would be...
It's kind of a weird one for me. I would say it's almost like it didn't consolidate enough to, in a sense, 2 days of... then it kind of pushed up, so it's like...
I would say that it's either in the very early stages of confirmation or in the final stages of consolidation, because sometimes it doesn't
so in between it's almost like...
So I would still like to give this a little bit more time to confirm an uptrend, right? So, and we can, again, at the end of the day, like you can set an alert wherever it is that you think that you would feel more comfortable getting in. Even if you think that maybe after 33, like I want it to be way above the SMA line and I just want to trade it from 33 to, 34.50. And that alone is almost 5%. So it doesn't matter like if people are like, Ricky, you're dumb, like trade it and buy it right now. Look at the MACD, look at the RSI. Like it doesn't matter what anyone else says. It's because, you are being tested every single day, right? And your challenge, in my eyes, every day is based off of the way that you see value and how comfortable you feel to identify a good time for you to enter and a good time for you to exit, regardless of what anyone else says. Everyone is always going to have their opinion, and they're more than welcome to share it with the understanding that it's to be heard, it's not to have to be listened to, right? And I think that's something that's very important that especially a lot of people on YouTube, I think need to have a little bit of a better understanding of. But at the end of the day, I think that, again, this is in the very early stages of a potential reversal, and I would feel much more comfortable, again, to wait for higher highs to get that overall confirmation. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So AMD is my... Okay, I like that. Thank you, Russell. Here we go. APT from Luke. APT. All right. What do you think about this?
I personally wouldn't pick this one.
Why?
Just because it's on a descending pattern. I mean, it pushed up recently, right? But overall, if I'm swing trading this, I wouldn't pick it to be a good quality potential swing trade right now.
So the way that I would put it is like, let's say that you worked, for 2 years and you saved, or whatever, 5 years, whatever's more, right? $100,000 is what you saved, right? You have $100,000 that you now want to trade or invest with in the stock market. If the whole point of being selective, right, is to try to pick the top stock or really the top whatever that presents the best opportunity at that moment. And out of everything that we have crossed, even within the past 20 minutes, would this be what you would feel comfortable putting $100,000 in? No, right? It's like, you still use Robinhood, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if this were to be the way that if you were to look on the 1 year chart on your Robinhood account, is this the way that you want it to look? No. Right? It's very simple.
That's the best way to break it down.
It's not showing signs of growth, and yes, although it's been pumped, and you can easily tell that it's been pumped, it's been manipulated, but overall, it's a descending pattern. I just think at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I want to be selective, and especially as you're just getting started, like right now, you're not trading to make an income. You're not trading necessarily profit. You're trading to prove to yourself. You're trading to learn that you can do it consistently. Yeah. And that is the test that you're putting yourself in every single morning. And I think that simply seeing this and seeing that, but at the end of the day, I would just say that this just wouldn't meet that criterion. It doesn't mean that you can't trade it. It just, in my opinion, just wouldn't make too much sense. But here we go. So K just calling out BABA. Here we go. But I'm really happy that they're bringing these different stocks up because it gets different people's input. And at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that anyone's right or anyone's wrong. It's like, it's however it is that we see value. And if you accept and you take the trade, you accept the risk involved. Yeah. When it comes down to BABA, this is Alibaba.
Yeah, I've looked at this one quite a bit, actually. Not like recently, but a long time ago.
So what do you think?
I think it's staying pretty, it's not uptrending. In a sense, like in the 180-day view.
I would say
think that it's kind of the last 45 days. It's kind of been back and forth.
I think that if I were to look, not even on the past 180 days, which it would still meet that criteria, but based off of its current price point, 174.68, right? Yeah. Based off of where it's at right now, I don't care. Let's say I don't know how to read the RSI indicator and seeing that it's overbought. Let's say I don't know how to read the MACD indicator and seeing that it's overbought as well and overextended. Let's say that all I have access to is the past. What is this? 60 days of the price of what it's worth. Low points and high points. Am I getting a good deal?
No.
And it's closer to the resistance than it is to the support.
Correct.
That's simple. So because of that, yes, it's showing signs of growth right now, but based off previous patterns, this $180 price point can be viewed as a resistance. And because of that, there's less margin of profit than there is potential for loss. So it does not meet my criteria. It's more overbought than it is oversold. So it's not a good deal. And yes, it is uptrending, but it's overextended. So because of that, I like it, but it's just not a good deal. So because of that, I would simply have to say no. But I'm really happy that you brought it up. And feel free to share your own opinion. If you're like, Ricky, I think that BABA is a good deal, then just simply explain why. I'm always open to hearing you guys out, because at the end of the day, I know that it's not that I'm right and you're wrong, or that you're right and I'm wrong. We're here to share one another's like insight on how it is that we see value. It's not always, I see a lot of people, and again, I just want to go on this little tangent very quickly. I see a lot of people always saying, like, kind of like subjugating one another, right? Within the chat rooms, saying that like, this is right and this is wrong, or no, don't buy here, buy here. It's like, at the end of the day, it's you should be the final decision maker on what you choose to trade. So don't get upset because other people don't agree with you. It's the whole point of networking is to share ideas. For those that value it, we'll take it. For those that don't, then we'll take it as a grain of salt. So I think that's the best way to think about it. It's like networking can be very powerful, but at the end of the day, there's core principles that you need to have like as your takeaways. So here we go. So we got PAYC. Let's see, PAYC.
I like this one.
Okay.
I like this one the last couple of days, yeah.
Okay, so why did you first say that you liked it a lot? And
it's pretty consistent
Okay.
on its uptrend.
Okay.
Right? Do you agree? I don't know.
I know, I agree. On the 180-day chart, if I had a Robinhood account, right, and it looked like this, how many of you? And
awesome.
feel free to share your opinion. If you started with $1,000, right? So like, let's say this is your beginning balance, and then your Robinhood account, when you click on the 1 year chart, it looks like this. How many of you would be pleased? How many of you would be happy? Right? It's showing signs of consistent growth. No question about it, right? Mm-hmm. It's showing signs of consistent growth, so it's attractive. Now, I like to ask myself 2 questions. Is it a good deal? And is the margin of profit worth it? Right?
Yeah, let's see what the potential. I mean, the issue is the last couple of days have been kind of...
Literally for the past month and a half, it's almost just been consolidating. It has not been making higher highs. And there's nothing wrong with pointing that. Yeah, right, and I noticed that right away, because first of all, one of the first things that I pay attention to is this SMA line. Mm-hmm. And it's showing signs of growth. Cool. And then I really begin to pay attention to the past couple of days. And we could even go to the 20-day 1 hour chart and see that we're at kind of the high point in comparison to the low points.
Correct. And
we're kind of just consolidating. And if you look at the 180-day chart, we're not really showing signs of growth anymore. We're kind of just staying stagnant, which there's nothing wrong with that. You can still buy low and sell high. Correct. If you could identify the proper time that it's reversing and sell it when it becomes more overextended. So those principles are still there, but one of the things that you just want to ask yourself is the margin of profit worth it? So that's one of the things that we can take into consideration. If it were to begin to pull back, and based off of the previous time where it bounced at and where it's at right now, 5%. But that's almost 5% if it turns out to perform perfectly like it did last time, which it most likely will not. At least in my experience, it's very, very rare for a trade to perform exactly the way that you think that it or plan it to. And that's why I try to empower you guys to be problem solvers. Right now, you have a flip, right? So Weston is the mentor within Flipping Wheels, and he buys and resells cars. And you do an absolute amazing job. But what's one of the things that you're experiencing right now with that lightning? You're experiencing an issue, right? Mm-hmm. And right now, because you're self-sufficient, you don't need to be told what to do. You're trying to solve that problem to get it out and then continue with different cars. And at the end of the day, that's the value in being a problem solver. It's that when you know how to solve problems and you're put to the test, you've been struggling, right? And it's been something on the back burner, but you know that you can actually do it. Yeah. So here we go. David is saying, Ricky, huge thank you for sharing your knowledge on during the past years. We're definitely good. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you again for tuning in. All right. Here we go. So MRK. All right. What do you think about this one? So it offers a pretty consistent uptrend, right? The overall SMA line. Yeah.
I can see why some people trade it. It's just not my style.
Yeah, I would say on the 20-day 1 hour chart, it's a little bit easier to see. So where it's at right now and how much more it has potentially to go, it's 2%. And looking at the MACD, looking at the RSI, it looks like it's almost potentially going to pull back. So I would say that it's become a little bit less consistent and it's not really showing signs of growth anymore. Although it is pointing up and it is showing signs of an uptrend, it's just like I would either have to get it for a really good deal to try to maximize profit, and the margin of profit in my eyes just necessarily isn't worth it. Even max is about 3%, and to me, that's just
it's not. It's not worth it. It's you could put your money elsewhere, possibly for a better potential.
I can see more value elsewhere than I would, and not have to hold something overnight, right? Yeah. All right, what's going on, Gold Dust? What's up? What's up? Are you going to mod the McLaren? I don't plan on doing any of that, but we'll see if I find good deals on some mods. Then, yeah. Here we go. CGC. What's going on, Evan? Appreciate you tuning in. CGC. Woo woo. Also do want to remind you, for those that tuned in maybe a little bit late, if you guys are enjoying this Sunday Stock Talk, and maybe if you guys are joining us for the first time, we would really appreciate the thumbs up. It really helps out the YouTube channel, giving us a better understanding that you guys really like these Sunday Stock Talk live streams. So it would mean a lot to us. All right, so CGC.
It's not really for me. On that 180-day chart, it's been
so point out
90 days.
Obviously, I can already tell that you're not going to find this attractive, right? What's one thing about this, if you were to point something out, that is attractive about this right now?
It's definitely oversold.
Okay, I like that. That's exactly what I was going to say. Now, say 3 reasons why you would not trade this.
Well, the last 90 days, I would say it's about in the middle. About the last 90 days have been descending consistently. So I don't see that.
Not showing signs of growth, right?
Yep, so it's not showing an uptrend at all.
Yeah.
3 things. It is below. Is it SMA?
The SMA line, the green line, right? Yeah. So it's below the SMA.
I mean, if you look at the SMA overall, it's just so.
It's such a consistent descending. So it's almost the exact opposite of what I want to trade.
Exact opposite, yeah.
Right? And then one of the things that I want to point out, and it doesn't mean that it's impossible. I've made money on descending patterns. I've lost money on descending patterns, right? The very risky part about descending patterns is that we never know exactly where it's going to. We don't know if it's going to continue to sell off here, right? Because people think that because it's so oversold that it's just bound to push up. Yeah. But if you have experience in this, how many times have you guys seen something to be so oversold, you buy the dip thinking that it's just bound to reverse without waiting for confirmation, and then it just continues to sell off? Yeah,
a good example to me would be it being oversold right here. It's bound to push up, and it still sold more.
Yeah, it's thinking, and the thing is also is that you don't know how high you think that maybe because it's sold off so quickly that it's gonna push up to the SMA line. Yeah. And at the end of the day, with a descending pattern, the risk is the overall direction. At the end of the day, it's just like you don't know how low it's gonna go. You don't know where the resistance is going to be. The direction is just not in your favor. And when you're a beginner, one of the biggest issues is risk management and bag holding. And a descending pattern is just a bad position to put yourself in. Right. I think that's the best way to put it. So, and again, that is simply just my opinion based off of my experience. So, I would say it's definitely a no for that one. So we got Greg Frog calling out AXDX. So AXDX, we'll try to push through these a little bit quicker. AXDX. It was pushing above, not really even showing signs of growth above the SMA line. I guess it kind of did, but it just happened all out of nowhere, right? But overall, kind of just consolidating, holding above the SMA line, and then now we're trading below it. If anything, look at the MACD, look at the RSI, it looks like it's more bound to pull back than it is to continue to push up. So because of that, I would have to say that it's not the most attractive in that case.
Correct.
Here we go. So, all right, we got TUED. Oh, all right, there we go. GE. All right, what do you think about GE?
I don't see any consistent growth. And it sold off in the last probably 30 days, consistently downtrending. So I don't see. I mean, it pushed up the last 2, but it's pretty
It was kind of
aggressive.
just consolidating, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it just began to sell off, and it was kind of following the market, and especially after its earnings, it just aggressively began to sell off. So at the very end of the day, I would say that GE, especially with the type of company it is, billion-dollar company, right? It's definitely oversold. So it's a good deal. It's not a good buy.
Okay.
Right? So it's oversold, and it's in that good deal range based off of previous patterns, but it's not showing any signs of growth just yet. And that would be my number one thing that I would try to pay attention to. So I would say that this one, if you're a dip buy, trader, this would be something that comes from a reputable company.
So you're saying a good deal is in more of a longer hold, not a good buy.
Potentially, but at the end of the day, like I don't care how long of a hold like we're trying to do anything for. It's not a good buy because the direction is not in its favor, right? So I'm just saying that it's in that good deal range based off of previous patterns, previous price points. Okay. So that's all I meant by that. So, all right, here we go. So we keep getting this question. Question, Ricky, is the VWAP? Chris, I would say that the VWAP indicator is definitely an indicator that I pay a lot of attention to. At the end of the day, one of the things that I've said it multiple times, the thing that I focus on the most is direction. So I do mainly just day trading now. So just to put into perspective is like, on Friday, it looks like GE did a very good job trading in between the middle and top VWAP. But what does that mean? The indicators are just to be used as a reference, right? It's the direction that I find attractive, is that it's showing signs of growth. That's what I find attractive. That's why I pay attention to the middle and top VWAP, to identify what's trending up and what's potentially, trending down, for instance. But if I'm not mistaken, /NQ had a pretty solid day on Friday. So almost everything was showing signs of growth. So I guess the one that wouldn't be showing signs of growth is the inverse or SQQs, right? Because that does the exact opposite of whatever the market does. So I think that's a pretty good example. But any review about Questrade from Canada? I'm not very well versed with Questrade. I have never used it myself. I don't feel in a position to share an opinion. If I were to share an opinion, it would be something you should take as a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, I've never used it, right? If you ask me for my opinion on TD Ameritrade, I can definitely give you one because I've used it for years. So I would, even before hearing other people and what they have to say, people are so opinionated, actually become familiar with the platform itself, speak to their representatives, and see if you find the platform to be useful, both in the user aspect, and as well as the customer support. I think that, at least in the position that I'm in, not only do I want it to be visually appealing and user friendly, but I want there to be an amazing support team. Perfect example is Robinhood. Robinhood might be very easy to use, but if you have any issues with Robinhood, I think that any Robinhood user would then be able to tell you that it's very hard to get any help or any assistance, right? I don't use Robinhood anymore, but I did for a little bit, and that was one of the biggest drawbacks that I got from people. So, okay, I want to do how about 2 or 3 more breakdowns, and then we can kind of go maybe other day basis about his kind of like beginner approach when it comes down to swing trading. And again, all you guys have to do is go to my page, click on Weston Moore, but his main focus is buying and reselling cars, and he does that with cars anywhere from around 5,900 to, you guys did a Jeep, right?
Yep.
You guys got a Jeep, and
we've done $1,000 cars. Yeah,
$1,000 cars, and he does a couple of these videos as well. Wow, I got 26,000 views. Dang.
Yeah, buddy.
My first screen day trading. I like that.
Yeah.
But again, if you guys haven't checked out his channel, feel free to do so. And again, you'd be supporting another member within TechBud Solutions and Flipping Wheels. So, why isn't my comment showing up? Did he block me? So no, man, it shows up like this for me. I don't know why. I don't know what about it is throwing off. I don't mean to, but it just, didn't show. So let's go ahead and do this. So AAXN. Thought we did that.
I think I've seen this one.
Oh, we definitely have seen this one. AAXN. So had a green day on Friday. All right, on the 180-day chart. It looks like it was showing signs of growth. It's been selling off, and although it had a green day on Friday, yes, it does have potential. This is almost a dip buy opportunity for a descending pattern.
Yeah, right. Is that the earnings why it sold off so aggressively?
Yeah. So you can see
that would just throw a red flag for me as to why.
There would be a fundamental reason on why it sold off.
Right.
Okay, so because of that, like maybe once that news dies out, it will then begin to recover.
More time to understand.
Yeah.
For me.
For you. Yeah, and at the end of the day, if you just don't feel comfortable with it, then you shouldn't, right? But if you're someone that sees the news kind of die out, and if you don't see it to be detrimental to AAXN and all it stands for, and you think that it's bound to recover, then again, I still think that confirmation is key, and just waiting for that price action to follow and to show signs of growth would be pretty. Having a full-time job, 9 to 5. So, Potato, that's a very creative username. One of the things that I want to share when it comes down to that is the transition that I made from, having a job, and it wasn't even a full-time job at the time. It was part-time, but I was going to school full-time, and then I transitioned fully to trading. My biggest thing is there's a huge learning curve. So it's not just like, all right, I'm going to start trading and I'm going to quit my job and then just start trading full-time. This is me coming from like my honest opinion. I think that you need to test everything that you learn. You can learn everything that you want off of YouTube alone, right? And regardless if you're a full-time student, if you're a full-time worker, I think the biggest thing is to prove to yourself. And this is where it really comes in. You need to dedicate the time and the effort to gain experience and to gain confidence within the market. And the whole purpose of that is to practice and test yourself to see if you can actually grow your account. And I think the paper trading or simulation trading, again, I'm a huge believer in that. I don't think that there's any reason that you should have to risk real money when you're not in a position to, where you've proven to yourself that you can grow your account. At the end of the day, I think that until opportunity-wise, you see that you're seeing so much consistent growth within your trading account that it just makes sense to fully transition to a full-time day trader, because the time that you can better spend trading outweighs the time that you spend at your normal job. It's not just because it's like F95s and I'm going to focus. It's like that is such a glorified type. That has never been my thing for me. Like I've always been okay with having a normal job when I did have one. I've always tried to empower all of you that stability is key. I'm never going to be someone that just because I'm young or just because I began to do well at an early age that is going to talk bad about 9 to 5s. I think that if you enjoy what you do every single day, then that is a true blessing, regardless of the monetary aspect. At the end of the day, when would it make sense, in my eyes and in my opinion and in my experience, to transition to a full-time trader? First of all, I only trade for about 2 to 4 hours a day. So being completely honest, you can do both. And if you're a hustler, you will, or maybe you'll have another side business. But at the end of the day, it's when greater opportunity presents itself that if your time is better spent just day trading and you have a proven track record, then it makes sense. Until then, I would hustle and work twice, 3 times, 4 times as hard as everyone else and have a normal job, be going to school full time, learning to trade, and spending time with those that you love. I think that is much more, in my experience, rewarding than trying to be cliche and like everyone else that is saying like, that's trying to diminish and subjugate those that have a 9 to 5. It's I think so naive for people to say. It's if you enjoy what you do at the end of the day, then that should be what's most important. And if you're providing and working hard to provide a better future for your family and for your future family, I think that is much more rewarding than what anyone else on social media says. But again, that's just my opinion, and that's what I'm here to share, right? Let's go ahead and do 2 more breakdowns, and then we can kind of go from there. Here we go. So I like that. Can't see any of the. Oh, here we go. Evan is calling out SPY. So I think that's from the S&P, right? S&P 500. Yeah, a lot of consolidation. And again, Evan, I'm not saying that you're right. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that there's a lot of inconsistencies, and that you might be right? But I don't think there's a clear direction. And I said this in last week's video. I don't think that there's a true direction or a true direction right now with the overall market. We're getting a lot of consolidation, and it's just very inconsistent. And because of that, even then, look at the MACD, look at the RSI, SPY and S&P 500 are a little bit overbought, on the overbought side and oversold. So at the end of the day, it's just like, if that within itself isn't an indicator to signify that SPY is a little bit on the overbought side and not a good deal, then allow this inconsistency to better represent maybe why you shouldn't get in. If you have a true understanding of the direction and the margin of profit is worth it and you feel comfortable, then all power to you. But at the end of the day, I feel like there's too much consolidation and it's even a little bit more on the overbought side that I would not feel comfortable getting in. That's just what I'm here to share. So I did get him. What's up, guys? Oh, appreciate that. Thank you, Willie. Let's see. I like that. Is there a best time? I want you to answer this question first. So this is coming from Cade. So is there a best time to take a trade on a swing trade? Should you wait for the daily low? All this stuff. So actually, this one's a little bit different than what I thought was going to be asked. Okay, I'll answer this one then better. So I would say that for a swing trade, let me pull up a swing trade that we kind of saw value in to have a better setup for that, because I don't really like the other one. So I'd say for like TTD, right? So if I were to go in for a swing trade, my three main focuses, and this is just my opinion, right, is confirmation, right, of an uptrend. So right now we don't have that. So I want to see higher highs and above the EMA line. I want the direction to be clear. Why? So I feel comfortable with my swing trade, and I want the margin of profit to be worth it. Why? Because I want the risk to be worth it. So when is it ideal? When all those three criterias are met. And when is that? It's different for every single trade, because sometimes we can get that confirmation right away. Sometimes this thing might consolidate for weeks and then we still might not get it. So it's always different for every single stock. And this is why we always try to empower you again. And I'm sorry for being so repetitive, but it's to be a problem solver, because you are put to the test and challenged every day. But it's to understand, you have to first set up your criteria that every stock has to meet, right? And then you start to, check down the list and to see if it actually meets that. So what I thought you were going to ask is, when is the best time to take a trade? And in my opinion is whenever the opportunity presents itself. So like, when is the best time to buy a car and sell it for a profit? When it makes sense, right? It's not just I'm going to buy a $900 car to sell it for $1,000. Yeah. I want to buy a car that's worth $1,000, but I want to buy it for $500, right? Mm-hmm. So to allowing that opportunity to present itself. And until then, think about this. The more trades you take, the more times you put yourself at risk. So that's why we have this saying within Learn, Plan, Profit: trade less, profit more. The more selective you are, the less you put yourself at risk. Yeah. I think that's a good kind of like mentality to kind of have when it comes down to the general understanding of trading. All right. Here we go. KTOS. And we'll do Z as well. Thank you, Neil. So KTOS. Here we go. We did quite a bit today. Yep. Nice consistent uptrend, sold off, potential dip opportunity. So again, we're seeing a lot of stocks show this kind of like potential, right? Also bad earnings, right? Sold off, finding a potential support, but look at the MACD and look at the RSI. Doesn't mean that it's going to reverse and pick up all the way back up, especially if these indicators are already referring to maybe something being overbought and oversold. So I'll set my alert there, but I actually think that it's going to pull back and break below and actually make lower lows. So that's why I'll set that up there. And then the other one was K, right? What was it? Z, right? Yeah, I think it was another one.
Makes sense.
Bad earnings. Look, sell off. So a lot of stocks are meeting this criteria. This is Zillow. Oh, quick little. How many of you have been? I want to get your guys' input on this, or I want to see how many OG TechBud members we have within this video. How many of you remember when I had those two houses right side by side by one another? When I my first house, right, and then I bought my neighbor's house. How many of you guys remember that second house? Were any of you guys part of TechBuds or Learn, Plan, Profit during that time? I remember, you lived there for a little bit, so that doesn't count. But yeah, all right, so we have a couple of you, right? So we got Carlos, Jessica, David, Alex, George. I like that. Okay, we got some emojis here. Keith, right? Colton, Goldust. I like that. Okay, so the reason that I'm bringing this up, and you guys can look into Zillow's like reports and stuff like that. I sold my second house to Zillow, and I sold the house to them. Again, Zillow bought the house, and Zillow is in the business. It's kind of like selling it to a dealership, right?
Yeah.
When you're selling your car. I sold my house to Zillow, and they bought it right away. I didn't have to do anything special. They bought it right away, and they bought it for $332,000. Almost a year later, after they fully fixed the house, I think they put like $15,000 into the house in upgrades and just making it move and ready, that they ended up selling the house $10,000 less than what they bought it off of me for. So not only did they have that house sitting there in the market for nearly a year, right? But they lost $10,000 from what they bought it from me, right? And then on top of that, all the fees for like the real estate agents and stuff like that. I thought that was crazy. And then Justin, you guys can see this and search it up. Zillow lost, if I'm not mistaken, almost like $250 million or something like that when it came down to all these home buying like I was like one of thousands of people that sold their house to Zillow that Zillow ended up losing millions and millions of dollars in. And that's I don't know if a lot of you guys knew about that, but I just thought that was so interesting because I actually thought that like Zillow, because again, when you think that you're selling your car, if you're trading in your car to a dealership, you're just like, damn, I'm not getting top dollar. Right?
Yeah.
And it was so smooth.
Selling to an expert.
I was just like, dang, right? That's what you think. But I was like, it made sense. Like when they made me that offer, I was like, holy crud. And then, and it was super easy. Like I didn't have to get like an agent or anything like that. They represented both sides. They saved their commission on that. And then the house was literally on the market forever. And they did that with thousands of other houses. I thought it was just so crazy. So is Zillow a good deal?
No. No. Good deal, yes.
Is it a good buy?
No. Not for me.
Why?
Not to me. It just doesn't have enough consolidation.
Not enough confirmation or
confirmation.
clear direction, right? So right now...
It's too soon for me.
Yeah, I would say it's in the very early stages of a potential reversal. I would say that after that story, no. The thing is, it's like they make mistakes, right? And they took a big loss on that. And as you can see, due to its earnings and all that stuff, it definitely took a toll. Again, we are deal hunters. And this is where investors come in and not just traders, right? When I see this, I'm really just focused on the technicals. But the reason that I shared that story is because on the fundamental side, it actually makes sense on why it sold off. And now the question to ask yourself is, if your approach is to invest, is to not just look at the technicals, but to look at the fundamentals and then to ask and to dig and to find if it actually makes sense to invest money in Zillow when it's a good deal based off of previous price points. And that's what I'm here to share. It's that at the end of the day, you shouldn't care what I'm trading or investing in. I shouldn't care what you're trading or investing in. You should just have an understanding of what you're getting yourself into, setting yourself up for success. So on the technical side, I would say, yes, Zillow does make sense that it's oversold, right? You can see that with the RSI, but the direction is not super clear. Do we know that if this thing is going to continue to sell off? We don't know. So what can we do? Set a bunch of alerts. Make sure that we keep this one up on high alert. And if it begins to show signs of growth, then again, we can slowly begin to add to our position size when it makes sense. Not when other people are telling us or suggesting to us. If someone tells you where to invest your hard-earned money, that should be a huge red flag that you should not listen to them. I don't care how much money they make. At the end of the day, and think about this, and this is just my opinion, but at the end of the day, if you do not understand what you're getting yourself into, if you do not understand where you're buying and a reason behind it and where you plan to sell and there's a reason behind that, you literally will not understand what's going on. So if you make a profit, it's kind of like gambling, right? If you take a loss, you're like, what did I do wrong? Because you have no understanding of what you just did, of what just happened. So all I ask you, in my experience, is to have a reason behind every action that you take. If you're learning to trade, if you're learning to invest, if you're starting your own business, right? If you're drop shipping, what's the reason behind that? I think that we can all agree that nothing worth having comes easy. So it's going to take time, it's going to take patience, but at the end of the day, not just when it comes down to investing and being successful, but with relationships with people that we value, nothing that is worth having comes easy. And if it does, then that is a very, very, very unique scenario. And that's just not how I want to live my life. I want to work hard for what I earn, not for what I think I deserve. And I think that that's a great kind of mindset to have leading up to tomorrow and the market open, right? Market's open Monday through Friday, so that's following up to tomorrow. So I just want to remind you, and I'm going to pretty much leave it at this, right? This is where I kind of want to close it out at. This is one of the things that I like to remind the Learn Plan Profit Group every single day. Every single day when I trade live with the Learn Plan Profit Group, I like to remind them that I day trade, right? And that's my approach, and that's what I do. I like to remind our traders that I am challenged every single day and put up to the plate. Let's say I'm a baseball player. As a day trader, I am put up to the plate every single day. And my focus is to wait for that perfect pitch or for that ideal pitch. And what does that mean or what does that stand for? Someone might like, a fastball. Someone might like a slugger. At the end of the day, the ideal setup is different for every single person. But at the end of the day, it is your job as a trader to wait for that opportunity to present itself and to know when to get in and when to get out and to have a reason behind that. We are challenged with this every single day to allow the opportunity to present itself, to make sure that we manage our risks, and to make sure that we feel comfortable and confident with the positions that we take along the day. And that's what I want to leave you guys with. On Friday, I 100% did very well, right? I hit a home run. I exceeded my daily goal. And that's all it's about. It's every single day. It doesn't matter how much money I made last week. It doesn't matter how much money I made last month. It doesn't matter how much money I made last year. We are challenged every single day and put to the test. So I'm here to ask you are you going to be someone that's going to be patient enough, selective enough to allow that opportunity to present itself? Because that's all we want. We want you to be selective. We want you to be opinionated and to have a reason behind everything that you do and to be prepared. I think the best way to work towards a goal is to have a plan, not just a success plan, but also if it doesn't go according to plan, how are you going to manage your risk? And that's all I'm here to share, right? If you want to be part of that 5% of people that make money in the stock market, then you need to do what 95% of them don't do. And it's not just to think about all the money that you can potentially make, but to think about how you're going to manage your risk, to allow the opportunity to present itself, to be selective for that perfect pitch, to take advantage of it and hit a home run every single day. Some days you'll pass, some days you won't. But as long as you manage your risk and you don't get hit with that fastball, you can always step back up on that plate and take advantage of the opportunity. So do you ever trade options, Rick? I don't trade options. That's just not my approach or not my focus. But at the end of the day, I'm not here to tell you should or tell you shouldn't. I'm here to empower you to, if you want to trade options, start YouTube searching it. There's just so many different ways that you can begin to make money. Just because I trade ETFs and ETNs and that's my focus, that doesn't mean that that's what you should do. We got Weston buying and selling cars, and he has a huge focus on trucks and 4x4s, and he just did that Jeep, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't mean that everyone's going to find that attractive. It's just there's no reason to overcomplicate it. He does very well in that market. I do well in a different market. So if you're asking why don't I? Because I do very well trading ETFs and ETNs, and there's no reason for me to overcomplicate it. If I'm consistent within my niche, why overcomplicate it, right? Just because I can make more money elsewhere, but potentially risk more and feel less comfortable, that's not worth the time and the effort for me. The opportunity cost is just not there because I have a nice working system that works well for me. That's why my goal for each and every single one of you, if you're part of TechBot Solutions, if you're part of Learn Plan Profit, if you're part of Flipping Wheels, is to not tell you what to do, but it's to provide the general understanding of what we do and for you to build off of that, to cherry pick the qualities and best practices that you like and to branch off of that, to be self-sufficient and to be self-driven. So Thank you guys again for your time. Again, all the links are down below. If I'm not mistaken, you guys can feel free to refresh the page. And by refreshing the page, there should actually be a coupon. I saw a lot of you guys asking about tomorrow's live trading session for the Learn Plan Profit team. So again, the Learn Plan Profit team is the only team that gets to watch me trade live every single day. And there's a $40 off coupon at the very bottom of the description. You have to scroll all the way in the bottom. Feel free to refresh your page. And there's a $40 off coupon if you want to join us as soon as tomorrow for the live trading session. Again, that's lifetime access to the course, the live trading, and the Discord chat for a one-time fee. So again, that's going to be $40 off the Learn Plan Profit course. If you guys have any questions about flipping wheels or TechBot solutions, the link should also be down there for you. The second link is the Facebook group, which is free. The third link is the Learn Plan Profit welcome page. And then if you have any questions and would like to jump on a call when it comes down to potentially getting started when it comes down to investing in cars and you want to work with the Flip and Wheels team, that's that fourth link down below. So I really do appreciate you guys' time. I really hope that I earned your thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe if you guys haven't done so already. Continue working hard, continue following dreams, let your passion be a driver in success. I appreciate Weston and all his input, so feel free to subscribe to his channel if you guys haven't done so already. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.